At the fence gap, the Border Collie mix pushed his rope toy halfway through and waited, like someone on the other side was supposed to take it. The neighbor laughed at first, until she noticed flattened grass and rope fibers stuck to the same lower board. This had happened before on this sidewalk. Then the dog lowered the toy to ground level and pushed it through again with careful nudges, leaving space instead of tugging like a normal backyard game. She pointed toward the wider gate gap nearby, but he walked past it and returned to the narrow opening. That one spot clearly mattered more than play. When he let go, the rope moved inward by itself. Not much, just enough to make her stop reaching and watch the fence closely for another movement. She pulled the rope back to the sidewalk, thinking the game was over. The dog picked it up and corrected her, without excitement, back toward the gap. Then he carried it to the side gate, touched the lower edge, and returned to the gap, linking the entrance with the clue instead of wandering away. The next pull was weak, low, and slow. Then, a tiny paw touched the rope once and vanished behind the board again, as the dog stayed still. At first, that answer made sense. Some little dog on the other side was playing, and this was just a harmless fence game through the boards. The neighbor wiggled the rope higher, expecting another tug. It worked once, then stopped completely until the dog lowered it again to the smallest opening nearby. That was the detail that did not fit. The bite marks on one end were tiny, and they were only on the hidden side of the rope. When she leaned close to look, the rope went still. But when the Border Collie lay down quietly, the hidden end trembled softly again near his nose. Then a small tan and white puppy muzzle finally appeared quietly beside the rope, touched the frayed end, and slipped back into the shadow before the neighbor could even move. Now the neighbor understood why the dog had waited so carefully. He had not been playing. He had been keeping the puppy close there to the gap. Instead of taking the toy back, he pushed more rope through and backed away, letting the puppy keep one paw on it for as long as needed. The side gate opened a few inches, but the puppy pulled back. The open path was new, and new did not feel safe yet from inside the yard. So the dog laid the rope across the threshold, connecting the old gap to the open gate, and the puppy followed only that line slowly toward daylight. For a second, it almost worked. One paw crossed the gate, but when the neighbor reached too soon, the puppy stepped back behind the edge again. Then she remembered the tiny bite marks and turned that end toward the puppy. This time, the familiar side made him move past the gate on his own. He came through slowly, still holding the rope, while the Border Collie loosened his grip and gave him room to choose the next step without pulling. The neighbor set the toy between them. The Border Collie waited, and the puppy found the marked end like he recognized it from before, outside. Then both dogs held opposite ends near the open gate. Would you have known that rope through the fence meant someone was waiting quietly on the other side?